Again. All righty. And today on the Going North podcast, where we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. It's the 3-year anniversary, baby, 3-year anniversary. And we got a returning guest in the building. My goodness, a returning guest in the building. My man had faith enough in me to actually come on back and actually deal with me back then when I didn't know how to interview people and my tech was busted and I had freaking screaming neighbors in the background.
That's all good.
And he's coming back because thanks to him helping me get a great start. Definitely, he had to come on back again for the 3-year anniversary. This man, my goodness, if you ever heard of Les Brown and Wayne Dyer, this guy combines both of their wonderful philosophies together. Peak Performance Strategist, TV personality. He's been in movies before, and the resume just keeps going on and on. It's probably as long as a Dragon Scroll back in the day in those RPG games. So let's give it up for the one, the only superstar peak performance leadership strategist, Sir Charles Cary. How you doing today, sir?
Man, Dom, I am grateful, man. I am grateful. I appreciate you having me back. 3rd-year anniversary, man. You have been rolling, man. I know you've done some phenomenal things. You've had some phenomenal guests, and I'm just grateful to be in the number, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah. My man goes way back, episode 2. Now it's like 270, 80 something now.
Woo! Man, you have been putting in that work. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And heck, even being able to chat with folks like yourself and see all the growth you've been doing, because since then you've actually been on one hell of a tour, the Cure Tour, and you rebranded all 4 of your books, right?
Yeah, it's a book series now. It's called the Radiate the Brain book series, which consists of course, the first one, Radiate the Brain, and virtual doesn't like that, but Radiate the Brain. What is it?
Oh, yeah.
After
After the
after the
diagnosis.
diagnosis, trying to get it there you go. Okay, line by design, and again, this is the first one, and then the one we were discussing today is what's so hard about being you. You know, that's important.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, what inspired the title for that one after all of your other wonderful good books, man? What inspired
Well,
that?
Dom, that's a good question. And to be totally honest with you, I was that little kid that didn't fit in. You know, in fact, I was an oddball. You know, I spoke differently than the other kids. I guess my curiosity and my interests may have been a little bit different. You know, I never really fit in. I was always a follower, trying to find my way and trying to make sense of things. And now, as an adult, when I think about it, many of us adults, we're still those children in grown up bodies. And we're still trying to find ourselves and fit into the places that we best fit, that we're more comfortable with, and that we can really flourish from, yet it's still a struggle.
Hey, you're definitely right about that. And especially nowadays, where a lot of folks are doing the whole comparison thing to people who put their lives out on social media, or at least they put out what you want to think their lives are about on social media. People are like, man, it's kind of hard to be me right now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yes, indeed,
Yeah.
man.
So, you know, I think the idea was, you know, that little kid has come full circle. That little kid has grown up. That little kid is now a man. And what experiences has that child who is now a man? What has those experiences shown him? What has those experiences taught him? And what do you do about it? What can he do about it? You know, can you use that information to help others, especially on this platform, which is your regular everyday residence now, you know? So that's why the book was created. And it was a perfect complement to the other books and to the philosophy that I have when I'm speaking. You know, I speak about leadership and communication, but really it's all about mindset at the lowest common denominator. It's really about mindset. And that kid had a challenge with mindset. That kid, you know, he was always in pain. He never could really find his way or find his lane. You know what? I'm not trying to rap, but that did rhyme. But it's real though. It's really real, you know, and I really feel for us as humans that are 40 and 50 and some 60 and more years old, and they never grew from being that kid at its core.
Hey, you're right about that. Heck, even my mom, when I talk to her, she likes to joke around and say she puts pigtails in hair because she still feels like that little girl from the South helping folks with math and whatnot.
Right. Now, one other side, and I can tell you this, there's a positive side to that little kid still being alive in the grown version of ourselves. And that's the youthful, humorous, joyful, playful, energetic spirit, vibrant, that really still looks at life like a child's playpen or a toy store or a candy store even. You know, you may not be able to do all the things, of course, that's common sense, but now that little kid that's grown up can really make light of themselves, or just enjoy things, remembering and knowing that, you know, things don't always have to be serious, or it's just seeing the lighter side of life. So I really think, what's so hard about being you, it serves us in multiple ways, you know. And I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to write it and share it with a lot of people, because I think it's really important.
You can say that again. It definitely is important because a lot of folks, yeah, some folks, they do keep in touch with that inner child, but a lot of folks, they lose that inner child
Mhm.
who actually wants to be playful and joyful and actually have fun with other people because they let life beat them down so much.
Yes, yes. You know, I look at it like this, Tom. It's like, it's a journey, you know, to be where we are. We know we weren't on a journey, and we finally wound up where we are. But the reality is that there's so many lessons that we could learn and that we should have learned from that journey. And, you know, it's funny because now as an adult, I even look back on things that I was taught and how I was groomed, and I resist those things, you know, whether it's the beliefs that we were taught, you know, the reasons why certain things were the way they were. And I'm not militant or just totally anti, but I am of a different mindset now. You know, we were told to go to school, get the good grades, and you get the good job. Well, and that turned out to be somewhat of a lie. Or the
Yep.
the institutions we live in have changed the games and pulled the rug out from under our feet. So now we need a different mindset. And in having that different mindset, we have to go against the old traditions. And the old traditions are to, you know, just keep your nose clean and this and that. But how do you keep your nose clean when someone's always trying to bloody it up? You know, so you have to really look at things really differently, and you have to be honest with yourself. Now, I can tell you, for me, with the social events that are going on in this country now, which are really very unfair, it's hurtful, and it's very demeaning. You know, I have been very fortunate in my life that I've had not to endure those specific types of incidents. You know, the being beat up by law enforcement, you know, being pulled to the side and, you know, accosted and, you know, shaken down. Um, I have had some instances, but many of those were because of the choices that I made. So when you look back at it, you know, we got to realize the lie, it's just that, it's a lie, it's a myth. Now, our parents, they probably meant the best for us by telling us what to do and what not to do. And I'm sure they wanted to keep us safe, but those things no longer are valid. We have a whole different set of rules. And in fact, I even talk about it in the book. I talk about the lie and I talk about new rules, because, you know, we have to kind of like carve out our own path in life. We have to find, you know, where we fit in based on who we genuinely are. What are your genuine interests? What are your genuine talents? What skills do you bring to the table? And where do you land that you're the most fulfilled? You know, you're happiest. You have that quality of life. And I just think that many of us miss it because we're told we're supposed to work in the government, or we're supposed to, you know, be an accountant. Well, you know, your daddy was an accountant, your sister's an accountant, your mom's an educator, and there's nothing wrong with those professions, but is it really you? You
Mm.
know?
It's so true indeed. And heck, it's even Great that you talk about that in the book, because that's really what's going on with a lot of folks, especially when a lot of folks, especially after they reach 40, they get into that second win phase. And heck, even
Hmm.
40 is now the new 20, to be honest, for a lot of people, because they're starting to realize that they went down this one path and then they realize, wait a second, that was just something that I felt like I needed to do because of my parents or some other
Right.
programming out there. And heck, even yourself, you reinvented yourself multiple times. So how were you able to be able to reinvent yourself so many times into where you are now with continuously getting better with everything you do?
Well, I think if I would have thought that I should do that, it may not have turned out the same. But I think I have a spiritual relationship with God. I know religion basically is the practice of doing things. I look at my spiritual relationship versus a religious relationship because I think that God puts things in our path that helps direct us or helps to lead us in the ways that we should go. And many of us, we're just hard headed. We don't get it. We do the wrong thing.
Yep.
But for me, when I was in that phase of rebranding or finding myself anew, I realized that there were certain experiences that were before me. It was like a magnet, Dom, and they were just drawing me in that direction. It was a natural inclination for me to do that. Like the very first time, I was clean from drugs. If your viewers don't know, maybe they can check out the very first podcast. I may have spoken about it, but I had been a substance abuser for years. But the very first day or time that I was really redirecting my life and rebranding myself, I heard Les Brown make that famous statement: "You've got to be willing to do the things today that others won't do in
Mhm.
order to have the things tomorrow others won't have." I never forgot that phrase. In fact, I even use it in many of my keynotes because, that's where I got it from. And that was the pivotal moment that I began that 180-degree shift. And I was in business at the time when I heard it. And I knew that my days of doing business with that company were over. And it wasn't because the company was bad. It was just that it was time for me to move in a different direction. And that's what I began to do. I wanted to know everything about becoming a speaker, inspiring people. What do you do? What do you need? How do you find yourself on platform speaking? And that was the education, which I really love. And that's another thing for you viewers out there that are listening to this, whether it's in real time or it's a replay, the thing that you love, you will never, ever tire from it. And that's one way of knowing for sure that this is meant for you. Donny Hathaway has a song, "You Were Meant for Me." And it's not really a real pretty song, but it's so meaningful. Your purpose was meant for you, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go, right there. There you go. Poetry in motion, baby. That's right. Your purpose is meant for you.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things, Dom, that was the beginning, but again, I was on substance abuse. I found myself anew, got married. I heard Les Brown make this powerful statement. And not too long after, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I was also still trying to get back on my feet. I had abandoned my previous occupation of being a musician, a singer, frontman for a band. And it wasn't until I started really speaking until I really realized, this is where I'm supposed to be. So again, I heard less, I got the diagnosis, I started speaking more. I met people like Dr. Willie Jolly, who did the forward for about 2 or 3 of my books. Della Toro did the forward for Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. Dr. Jolly did the others. I had endorsement by some of the best in the speaking industry. But dealing with cancer was a wake-up call, and it really let me know that if you really love this industry, go all in, learn all you can, and do all that you can. So I learned all the things I needed to learn. A speaker has a business card, a speaker has a website. Dr. Jolly told me to be a speaker and to have credibility, you need to be a published author. I became a published author. I did every single thing. And then meanwhile, opportunities to be in movies would pop up and I would take advantage of it, being with Nicolas Cage and John Voight and Ed Harris. I mean, reality shows, being on the keynote. In fact, I'm in a reality show now called All Men Rock, which is on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and Apple TV. And, you know, if I should go today, if I should actually leave the earth today, I really could not complain, because through it all, I've been blessed, which is why I always tell people I am grateful. I really am.
Hey, that's the best way to be right there. Is definitely grateful, because a lot of folks like leukemia and lymphoma, like all of that at once.
Yeah, yeah,
People
yeah. I
just die
mean,
from one of them.
yeah, you know, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, they nominated me for Man of the Year about a year ago. And that was an honor because I wasn't looking for it. But again, when I talk about having that spiritual relationship, God placed me in the path of someone that said, hey, this guy spoke for us. Let's see if he's interested in raising the banner for us. And whoop, there it is, you know? So I was grateful for that opportunity. In fact, I think that year they broke a record. They had never raised this much money for the organization ever in the history of the organization.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Help them.
Associated with greatness.
There you go. That's the only way to do it. Help folks break records like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So you've been doing the speaking thing, I guess, for about a good decade and some change, right?
Oh, yeah. Like 2 decades. Yeah. Yeah. I started out with Toastmasters, which I know you're a Toastmaster as well. And that really was it's funny that we're talking today because I wrote down my path step by step, like how I started out as a little kid with an interest in music, which it led to me eventually doing church recitals, which eventually led me to singing in the choir, which eventually led to me singing with ensembles, and then which led to me writing poetry. And I mean, there are all these tiers, all these levels, that led to me becoming a speaker and a certified professional trainer. And again, I go back to saying I'm just grateful, because it's hard to really be your real self when you don't know who you are, when no one's encouraging you, no one's inspiring you. You don't see anyone that looks like you for you to emulate. You're in the wilderness all by yourself. And then all of a sudden, there's these influences that come and snatch you. They call them friends. And you find yourself going down the rabbit hole like in Alice in Wonderland, right? Only to find out either you're going to die, be incarcerated, or you're wasting 10, if not 20 years, which is what I did. A quarter of a century. I wasted a quarter of a century. And I can never get it back. But the key is to realize that with the time that I have remaining, what can I do that's valuable and that can be a benefit to other people? Which I also talk about the fact that you'll discover in your life that your life is really not about you. At a certain point, it is when you're young and full of carefree thoughts and energy and you want to party and all of that. And I think that's a normal, natural progression. But when you realize, I guess a little wisdom settles on us, when you realize that your life is not about you, your purpose for doing that thing is so much different. It's so much deeper, so much more meaningful. And hopefully your message is a reflection of just that. So, again, I know I'm probably wearing it out, but I am grateful, man. I really am.
Hey, because folks really need to just have it really repeated. Because I mean, pretty sure you heard the phrase of repetition, the mother of skill. So sometimes you have to hear things more than once to
Right.
really get it. So it is a-okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of repetition, this is far from your first rodeo. So is there a question you wish you'd be asked more often when you're on shows like this, being interviewed and all the other good stuff?
Well, maybe not so much from you, but it would be great if, like, people would say, hey, how do I fulfill my purpose? How do I tap into my destiny? And of course, that's not a short answer. But the point is, I love people to ask those types of questions because in my coaching, in my personal coaching or group coaching, I can provide the path for them to get there. And of course, the books, they are the resource for them to get there. But I just think it's so exciting when you're able to open up someone's mind, almost like literally open up their brain, and you're able to pour in some advice, wisdom, knowledge, ideas, thoughts for them to be able to, really like, wow, I never thought of it like that. Or I never considered it. And then to actually, hopefully, take advantage of that information and begin the process. I mean, I tell you, about 2 years ago, Dom, I was at a national conference, and after the conference, all the speakers, they always stand around either drinking water or talking shop. And I was outside in the hallway, and one of the other presenters, he was there speaking with, I guess, a prospect or prospective client. And to my right was another guy waiting to speak to him also. And I said, hey, how you doing? He was like, hey, how you doing? I'm just waiting to speak to my friend there, talking about the guy that's already engaged in a conversation. And I said, okay. I says, hey, I introduced myself as I'm Sir Charles Cary. I shook his hand. I said, if there's anything I could ever do for you, here you go. And the guy that was speaking, I don't know if he didn't realize it or if he was just so captivated in his conversation. And the guy that was waiting was like, So he left. So I really didn't think much more of it. So I left too. And then I think I may have seen the guy that was waiting maybe once or twice before I flew out to come back home. And he called me and he said, so what do you do? And I told him what I do. I said, well, what is it that you're trying to do? He says, well, I'm trying to be a speaker, man. I want to present and do this and I want to do that. I said, well, listen, I do coach people. But if you would like for me to coach you, I would love the opportunity of sharing with you. Or if you want just a consultation, I'll send you a link for consultation. So he paid the fee for the consultation. It was a 1 hour consult. Did that. I guess he must have been taking notes like crazy. I totally forgot about it. So the next year, I'm at that same conference. I'm going down the escalator, and he's coming up, and he said, hey, look, I'm a speaker now. I'm a speaker. I was like, oh, snap. I was like, what's your name? I forgot his name and everything. But the point of it is, he took advantage of the information. You see, so many people want information for free, but they won't do anything with it. And there are a lot of people that will pay for it and they still won't either. But I'm so excited about him because he took the information and he capitalized on it. And now every time I see him on LinkedIn or Facebook, he's doing what he said his heart's desire was to do, and that's to speak. So I'm glad I was able to touch his life.
Amen to that. It's always great when folks actually ask for your time, and heck, they even pay the consultation fee and they actually take and run with it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. So, any reason why you think folks don't actually? There's sometimes folks get both paid and free information and they don't even use it. Any reason why I think that is?
Absolutely. I think that, I hate to say it, but the 80-20 rule, um,
Mm,
20% of the people do 80% of the work. 80% of the people want to be the 20%. But the way our world has been structured, the way society has imposed itself on others. Um, I was watching Robert Kiyosaki the other day, and he was like,
mm,
they teach you math in school, but they don't teach you about money. There's a lot of things school don't and doesn't teach us. And the problem with that is that the education system teaches you to be an employee. When you're an employee, you don't have to think very much. Yeah, the things you have to learn, math, science, English, basic things. And some of them may be on an advanced level, but there's no integrity. No, that's the wrong word. There's no ambition attached to it. You see, your ambition level, it would be very low because you're working and you're putting yourself in a position to be told what to do versus actually applying yourself as an independent entity with a creative and a constructive mindset to go out in the world, create or conquer what it is that you want. Two totally different mindsets. You know, most people will say, oh, I can't do that. And they're right, because they already have made a conclusion or come to a conclusion where they won't be able to move any further. Now, some people will say, wonder how I can make that happen. So now the world of possibility is opening to them, and they may figure out, if not to do the whole thing, maybe just to get their foot in the door, and the rest can come later.
There you go. Just got to get that one foot in the door and just take that action. And heck, even
Yeah.
at 80/20, it's so darn true. It's always the folks in the top 20%. No matter how far they're up there, it's usually the top 20 carrying the other 80%.
Yeah. You know, that's why one of my catchphrases is the right mindset is all you need. You have to have the right mindset. It's not an option. You literally have to have, excuse me, the right mindset, because when you have the right mindset, you're going to think independent. You're going to think creative. You're going to be open and willing to learn more. You, even though it's hard, you probably will be receptive to some degree to critique or criticism, and then you have positioned yourself for the big win. Now, it doesn't guarantee a specific thing, but you're positioned a lot differently than many other people.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. And it's funny because you actually have positioned yourself as the peak performance strategist in the leadership category. And a lot of folks don't even think about that. So what led you to be able to position yourself like that? Because I feel like that's another piece that a lot of folks are missing nowadays, is that positioning piece when it comes to not only just speaking, but business in general.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've been branded and rebranded many times, and I have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on personal and professional development. And did I want to spend it? In some cases, no, because I didn't know what I didn't know. But in order to grow, you have to be able to have these experiences. You have to be able to extract from the masters, sit at the footstools of those who know and are doing. Excuse me. You have to be able to sit at the footstool of those that are doing exactly what you want to do, or those that are doing things. They can share with you how you can grow yourself. So to become the peak performance strategist that I am today, started out as the motivational speaker, and then sometimes referred to as an inspirational speaker.
Yep.
And then I think from there I went into a category. I was an alternative recourse expert. Perfect, but it's not searchable. No one's ever heard of an alternative recourse expert. So I went to some more investing in myself with coaches, and said, that's nice, but what is that? No one knows that. Now, I didn't mind explaining it. That's part of the je ne sais quoi, but it's still not searchable. And come to find out that what I was doing was more like change management. And then it's like, yeah, that you could put it in that compartment. And then to say, well, it's still a little bit different. And it's leadership, but there's a ton of leadership coaches. But then it's like, really, you're trying to get people to become their best. And if you want to be your best, that's like being at the top. That's being at the peak. And then finally we settled on peak performance. So it was a evolution. But if somebody wants a motivational speaker, I'll go talk. You know why? And I'll tell you why. I stay in my lane, but in the process of becoming the best version of you, sometimes we need to be motivated to take action. And that's the direction that I'm talking about, being a motivational speaker. I will help motivate or inspire, if I can, a person to take action in their own life so that they can become the best versions of themselves.
Amen to that, because that's something we're all going to need at one point.
Yeah. It's not important. It's essential. It really is. It's essential.
There you go. Essential work right there.
Hey, you know.
Yes, indeed. Especially when folks are fighting at different temperatures.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, the sad thing is, I mean, I think it was Miles Monroe that said there's thousands upon thousands, if not millions, of stories in the graveyard because those people never ventured to tell their stories. And I said, well, there's also, if not thousands, millions of patents, of copyrights, of inventions, of all sorts of things that people live, take up God's air, and are never able to produce what He has put them here to do, or what He has put them here to produce, or what He has put them here to do. And it's sad, not just because like, oh man, they didn't do it. No, their level of fulfillment was never appreciated, most importantly by them. It's like being, imagine going up against Dr. J and Michael Jordan and you're better than them. You get the ball, they're standing there, and you say, you know what, let me go to the bathroom. And when you come back, the competition's over. So nobody knows about you. You can pick any sport and say that. Any profession, any industry. Tesla, look what they did to Tesla. Shoot. Sad state of affairs, man.
Oh, you can say that again. You can
Yeah.
say that again. And
Yeah.
it's still happening today.
Yeah. I mean, I really get it that in business, people strike when the iron's hot, move faster than the other guy. I get that. But when you get your foot on somebody's neck and you're standing up because your foot's on their neck and you're receiving the rewards, something's just not right about that, man. It's just not right. I was always told never look down on a man unless you're pulling him up, picking him up. And I've always remembered that. If I can't do anything for you because we don't click, I'll leave you alone. That's easy. Walk away.
Heck, it's so
Yeah.
easy to do,
Yeah.
but people don't get it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Why do I have to shoot you, kill you, talk about you, talk bad to you, go out my way to discredit you, defame you? That's a lot of energy that I could be doing towards my next book or my next whatever.
Hey, so right about that. And you said next book, so you got this great theme here. What's the next book for Sir Charles? I know you got one cooking up.
Actually, yeah, the last 2 or 3 books, I've had them in the wings, but I just wanted to give each book a chance to breathe on its own. I can't say the title because I just want to keep it safe, but
I got you.
yeah, but it'll probably be the last book in the series, and after that, we'll work on a few more. Well, there may be other writing, but I don't think it'll be a part of the series. It'll be standalone books, which is fine. Everyone isn't meant to be a chicken soup for the soul person, or at least not for life. You know what I mean? Chicken soup for the chickens, chicken soup for the turkeys, chicken soup for the cows, right? But it does work, and there is purpose behind it. Like with this book series, I mean, honestly, it's all about mindset. And these books are interactive books that literally take you from step 1 to step 2 with the exercises, with the questions. I mean, it's really your own personal resource on how you can become a better version of you. And it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or even experienced people, because I believe addressing things with simplicity and with clarity. And the more you do that, the more you can reach people. So if you really want to help people, I mean, yeah, you want to use jargon that's, on a second collegiate level, knock yourself out. But I believe in using jargon and a vocabulary that can reach people up the chain as well as down the chain, because I want people to understand what's available to them, what access they have to become the person that they were meant to become.
Amen to that, because you can use $10 words all day, but if nobody understands a word you're saying, they ain't worth
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, exactly. You're right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, coming down the pike here to the question reserved for the second time guess, and that is if you were called to give the final keynote of your life, you got 90 minutes, and everybody in the world had to pay attention to you. No cell phones, nothing. Unless that was part of your presentation, they had to pull it out. What would be the message of that keynote and the main points of that message?
You know what? I might use the title of this talk. What's so hard about being you? And the reason why is because you can teach people math, science, Bitcoin, podcasting. You can teach people so many things. But the question that remains, are you where God designed you? Are you able to be happy and fruitful and have that quality of life because you know that you are in the right place that's designed for you? And if the answer is no, you're not, then you need to figure out what's so hard about being you and fix it. I really believe that.
Nice. Nice indeed. Nice indeed. Yes, indeed. That's right. Helping folks to no longer realize that it's bold or hard to
Sir.
be themselves indeed.
Yeah, why try to be someone else? Everyone else is already taken. If two of us are the same, one of us is not needed.
Yes, indeed. Yep. And one of us would be like, hey, the towns ain't big enough for the two of us.
Next, there's a new sheriff in town. I reckon you get gone. Yeah.
Oh man, well, powerful stuff from the legendary Sir Charles himself. That's right indeed.
I
That's
definitely
right indeed.
appreciate you, sir.
Woohoo! Appreciate you. And for the folks who want to keep in magical contact with you, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
On all social media platforms such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, it's / Sir Charles Cary. This is like you see the spelling on the announcement here or on the title here, Cary, Sir Charles Cary. I look forward to sharing with each and every one of you. In fact, we've got some specials in our wordsmithspeakersalliance.com website. That's where all the books live, all the products and DVDs and audio programs. Please take advantage of those special deals. They've been discounted for a while. I know we've got to take those discounts down, but I encourage you, go get your discounts while they are available. And Radiate the Brain, change the game.
Definitely one of the best titles ever. Yes,
Thank you. I
indeed.
appreciate that. Thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir.
I like
Indeed.
look. Going north is no, it's not to be sneezed at. That's pretty powerful. And the follow up book, because you know what, it's all about the directions we take in life. See, this is the next podcast already.
I'm all for it.
It's all about the directions we take in life. Going north is usually indicated of freedom, and if you're going north, you're freeing yourself from the other version of yourself that you really don't want to be. And once you continue moving in that direction versus east, west, and of course not south, you will learn that upon arrival, my friends, you have radiated the brain and you have changed the game.
Yes,
I tell
indeed.
you, a little cheap plug, but it's true. It's just true. Because it's all about freedom. And freedom for many people, they think dollars and cents, and I get it. They think oppression, and definitely I totally get it. But even in prison, there have been so many people that have been in solitary confinement. They've been in prison for years and years, 5, 10, 20 or more. Once this is imprisoned, it's pretty difficult to change your circumstances. Think about Shawshank Redemption. You know, think about the fact that I tell people all the time that you cannot afford to let people in your space, especially not your personal space. Now, the sad thing is that many of us share a pillow with negative people. Sometimes that's a situation that you can't do much about. But what you can do, if you cannot get that negative person out your personal space, you must not allow them in your mental space. You know, your mind is your vault, your ideas and your thoughts and all the things you want to do. Those are your plans and your treasures, your jewels and your riches, and they should be safely locked away in your vault. You don't want someone raining on your parade just because they have no dreams, they have no desires and no wishes. You know, one of the worst things you can do is open yourself like a book to someone that was to rain on your parade. You know, it's just sad. But thanks again, Dom. I really appreciate this opportunity. You know, you're a great guy. Still like to borrow your voice from time to time. I'll have to talk to you about that. But I really hope that I've added value to someone in your audience or in your sphere of influence, because it's all about adding value to other people.
Woohoo! Yes, indeed. That's right. All the value, baby.
Yes, sir.